Hello and welcome to Comfort Dad Cooks. On today's show we'll be making pizza. Not just one pizza but 4 pizzas with different toppings, and I'll show you all how I make pizza. So we've had this dough resting in the fridge here for 4 days and 3 days actually, 3 days, and you can see that it's risen and you can see that there's a mass of gluten development in there, the web of gluten development. I've baked bread for years and I just love everything to do with wheat and bread and the whole baking process. So this is still quite cold and you have to take it out of the container here. So take the dough out. It's become very cool as it's been in the freezer, and so you could, I've tried when I've got very hungry kids, okay, but if you try and make pizza out of this, just putting some flour on my hands here, if you try and make pizza out of this, you'll end up with kind of hard leathery pizza. So what we're going to do is divide this dough ball into 4 equal parts. So I've zeroed out the weight of the container there. And then 1276, 318 is what we're going to be measuring for. So what we do is we take this and we visually break up that into 4 what we think are equal sizes and measure them to 318, 309. We're not building a piano. That'll do. Okay. 4 dough balls. Now if you did want to do the pizza immediately, in other words rise the dough and then bake the pizza, you can refer to my pizza dough recipe, and then you would not put it in the fridge. You would give it its initial rising of a couple of hours and then you would be making it into dough balls, but you'll have to leave it about 4 or 5 hours. In this case we're going to leave it about an hour. So splitting the dough into 4 equal pieces here. And then, good. So we've got that done. Then we have our 4 dough balls here. Okay. So we form those dough balls into just a smooth shape. And what you're doing is you're cupping your hands, you're caressing the ball of dough, and you're not slamming it around. We want the gluten development to stay there. So we're bringing the sides of the hand, this is like a gentle karate chop. We're bringing our sides of our hand underneath the dough ball as we rotate it. And then what you'll end up with is a fairly smooth ball like this. And then we will put a little bit of flour down on the tray, stop it sticking, and then put the first dough ball there. If the dough sticks, do not worry, it's just stretchy gluten. It's good fun. It's, you know, when we give kids dough and stuff to play with when they're little, this is just like a fun thing for us adults to do, is to make pizza dough. So we're just bringing it into 4 even balls here. We're just cupping our hands around the dough ball and then you will get that smooth shape. Okay. And then what we're going to do here is leave these in a warm place. I usually leave them by the side of the oven on the work surface there. Dust them with a little bit of flour. And then we're going to cover that with a clean cloth, tuck it in, and come back in about an hour. What we're trying to do is relax that dough. At the moment it's been, you know, if you cook a steak, when you cook a steak, the juices all go to the center of the steak when it's in the heat. And if you leave it to relax, you end up with a delicious meal rather than shoe leather. It's very similar with dough, but in reverse. When we've put the dough in the freezer and retarded it, slowed down the process of fermentation, it's allowed the gluten to develop, but the dough itself is still You know what it's like when you come in from outside and it's cold. You need to relax, have a cup of tea, a piece of toast, etc. So we're going to do that for about an hour here, and then we'll be back. Okay, so while that dough is relaxing, we can start to prepare the ingredients that we're going to put on top of the pizza. But first of all, I wanted to talk about this. Now, this I had a friend make about 10, 11 years ago now. What it is, it's this piece of 1/8" stainless steel plate that I had cut to the size of the oven on one of the racks. This is the absolute best pizza stone I've ever used. Terracotta pizza stones are great, but they tend to crack. You only get a certain life cycle out of them. Believe me, I've tried everything, cast iron pans, you name it, but this one I have found the absolute best. I got it for, I think, $40 at the time. I had a friend do it. But if you were to call a local sheet metal workers and give them the measurements of the inside rack of your oven and say that you want 1/8" stainless steel plate, if you want the ability to clean it, stainless steel plate is better. If you just use steel plate, it would still perform the same effect, but it would not be as nice in the kitchen and it could rust if you got it wet. So this is 1/8" stainless plate, and what we do is that we put this in the oven to heat so that the stone or the steel itself is actually as warm as hot as it can actually be. This is quite heavy. This probably weighs about 20 or so pounds. But as I say, it's the absolute best thing I've ever used for making pizza on. Don't whack yourself with it, and don't drop it on your toes. That would be a particularly nasty event. If you don't have one of these, it's absolutely fine. You don't need an 1/8" stainless steel plate cut to the size of your oven. It's just that I'm showing you today exactly how I make pizza. If you do get a stainless steel plate made for your own oven, have the edges rounded, otherwise they'll be sharp. But this has been absolutely fantastic. Considering it's 11 years old, it's in pretty good condition. I use it for pizza, bread, you name it. Any kind of baked dough-based recipes work absolutely fantastic on this. The other thing is you'll eventually get this caked in pieces of cheese and who knows what. You can just use standard oven cleaner. So you put this in the oven when you're ready to clean the oven. I think it suggests heating it up to 200 degrees. And you can take this out, stick it in the sink or something, and just spray it with oven cleaner. 10 minutes, it comes up. Well, this is it after many thousands of uses of bread and pizza over a 10 or 11 year period. So I'm going to put this in the oven to heat up fully, and we'll be back soon. Okay, so let's run through the ingredients we'll be using today. First of all, tomatoes, or tomatoes, depending on how you like to pronounce it. Okay, so I just use crushed tomatoes. There's nothing else that this dish particularly needs. Originally, it was fresh tomatoes ground into a paste. If you grow your own tomatoes and you want to grind them into a paste using one of those conical tomato sievers or conical strainers, that would be good. So this is just crushed tomatoes, and I like organic, no GMO. Thank you very much. I'm going to be making a variety of pizzas. First of all, it'll be a simple margherita pizza, which is fresh mozzarella, tomato, and basil, just basil leaves. I'll also be doing a variety of pizzas, so one of them will be a New York style cheese and tomato. Margherita uses fresh mozzarella. In here we're using a combination of cheese. Go by your own personal preferences. Sometimes I will use hard dried mozzarella, a little bit of cheddar and some parmesan. Any other type of cheese, fontina or something like that, you can also use in here. You want a mixture that's got a slight tang, and for that I add a little bit of dried parmesan, grated parmesan. I grate parmesan into here, so that's for the New York style. And that is also my basic cheese that I use for any non-fresh mozzarella cheese and tomato pizza. Okay, so let's run through the ingredients here. Purple potatoes. I find potato on pizza, if you use roasted garlic or something like that, is absolutely delicious. So I'm using purple potatoes here. You can use red potatoes. You could roast them or you can steam them and just strip the skins off. Absolutely fantastic. This is roasted garlic. Garlic on pizza is great. I prefer myself the roasted garlic, and then I'll just crush that on top. This is some soppressata, which is a type of cured meat. You can use salami, some sort of cured meat, or vegetarian. Of course, I'm using cured meats here, but you could go vegan or vegetarian if you wish to, depending on what your own preferences are. I'll be using mushrooms, thinly sliced mushrooms. Here I have a jar of marinated feta cheese. I will give you the recipe of this in a future episode, but basically what you're doing is you're taking a packet of feta cheese and putting it in a jar with crushed garlic, some herbs, a little bit of pepper, and a balsamic vinegar, and then we're marinating this and putting it in the fridge for about 2 to 3 weeks. This is some stuff that I made around about Thanksgiving, so about three-ish weeks ago. Absolutely fantastic, crushed on top of pizza. Let's remember that pizza is one kind of flatbread, and whether it's from North African flatbread that you serve with a tagine or something, or you go to India and you're looking at something like chapati or paratha or a naan, or you go across to Mexico and you're looking at something like fresh tacos. Flatbreads are so baked in every single culture that pizza is just one kind of flatbread, and it's absolutely fantastic. But we're experimenting here. Add the flavors that you particularly like. I know I've seen the video of Gordon Ramsay where he's eschewing canned pineapple on pizza, and I'm with him on that one. But if you do very thinly sliced pieces of fresh pineapple with some Serrano ham or some sort of Spanish ham on the pizza in a very hot oven, the sugars in the pineapple caramelize and complement the Serrano ham perfectly, and that is a way that I can stand pineapple on pizza. But I'm afraid the canned pineapple, soggy canned pineapple, harks back to school for me, school lunches. But if you enjoy pineapple, please put it on there. Okay, olives, black olives, you can use whatever kind of olive you like. Sometimes I'll marinate olives in the same way I did with feta cheese, inside olive oil and different kinds of herbs or spices, a few red chili flakes and some balsamic or red wine vinegar. These are some jalapenos that I've marinated here myself, pickled them a little while ago. Those are something I can add to one of the pizzas. And then just some dried oregano sprinkled a little bit on some of the pizzas. So those are a selection of the ingredients I'll be using today. Please experiment. It's like when you get a juicing machine, you're juicing everything in the kitchen and you're trying potato and leek juice and stuff, and it just doesn't work. But if there's a particular ingredient you'd like to experiment with, please do. It's one reason I've included potatoes here, because I tried potatoes. I was thinking, I wonder what potatoes will be like on top of pizza, and it absolutely works fantastic. So we're just waiting now for the steel plate to heat up in the oven and for the doughs to relax, and then I can start to assemble these fantastic pizzas today. So back shortly. Welcome back. Okay, we have our dough balls that have started to relax in here, and these have been for about an hour and a half, and it shouldn't feel cool to the touch. It should feel like something's been warmed up and relaxed. Okay. So what we're going to do is take these dough balls. Now, I realize that the idea of making pizza and seeing pizza being tossed around is a little off-putting for folk if you've never done it before. So I'm going to be today making the first pizza by pressing it out with my hands, but if you prefer to do it this way, you can roll it out. It won't be the same, but you'll still get a really decent pizza out of it. So what we do is we put enough flour down to stop the pizza sticking, and then we start to move the pizza in our hands. What we're doing is we're using, it's like a soft fist on the inside of the pizza, okay? If you find the dough is a little slow to stretch, it means that it needs to sit a little bit longer at room temperature, okay? So what we have with most pizzas is a thicker crust at the edges and slightly flatter on the inside. And that's what we're looking for here. The easier the dough is to work with, the better, okay? Now, if you can't do that, you can take a rolling pin and you can either roll just the middle or you can roll the whole thing, whatever you prefer. The goal is here is to get your hands in the dough, have fun making pizza. There'll be some things that you can improve as you go along, and you'll make some mistakes, and that's just part of the fun of cooking, is just the ability to make these mistakes, okay? Now what we're going to do here is, I've been making pizzas for a while, as I say, and the easiest way I've found to get a pizza in the oven is to use a pizza peel, which I just bought online, with a piece of parchment paper on the top of it. And what we'll do is we'll put that pizza on the parchment paper, and who likes alliteration, there's a very good example for you. Put the pizza on the parchment paper like that. Remove the air from underneath it. Now, we are going to just, I use just a spoon. You could use a spoon in combination with a spatula, and just put enough tomato sauce according to your like, and just the back of the spoon rotate around the pizza. Just a gentle movement there. So we said we were going to do a very simple margherita pizza. So what I'm going to do is take a couple of pieces of fresh mozzarella and just tear those pieces of mozzarella onto the pizza there. Start off with a cheese and tomato. Honor the original pizza from Napoli in pizza. In Italy, in pizza land. Napoli is a beautiful seaside town on the southwestern coast of Italy. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I visited Italy and also lived there for about 4 months. I didn't go to that part of Italy on that particular journey. I also went to the west coast of Croatia. If you go across from Venice to Croatia, and there's some amazing pizza and flatbreads I had there. So that's the first pizza. We're going to add a little bit of dried oregano here, or oregano. Just put the oregano on there. Now I'm going to take this through and start to bake it, and I'll show you how I bake pizza. So we'll be back in just a moment. So here we are in our kitchen with my lovely camera woman, Sequoia, my daughter, who's helping me out. So this is the pizza that's going to go in the oven in just a second. If you want to just zoom in on the pizza there, Sequoia. And then also regarding the oven. Now, what you want with pizza is as hot an oven as you can possibly do. I've set mine to convection, because a convection oven will always be 20-ish degrees Fahrenheit, about 10 degrees centigrade, hotter than a conventional oven. So I've set mine to 500, which is the maximum temperature this particular stove and oven will go to. And then what we're going to do is actually, I've found that 465, 470 is the perfect cooking temperature. So I've warmed it up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, as hot as your oven will go. We've got the pizza stone in there nice and hot. I'm going to turn it back to 465. So the reason I do that is that when you open the pizza oven door, or the oven door, the heat will tend to escape, and I've found that that's the best combination. What we're going to be doing here is putting this pizza in here for about 4 minutes, and then I'll show you how to slide the greaseproof paper, the parchment paper, off the pizza. So be careful here, we're working with a pretty hot oven, and as the door opens, I'll be standing back a little just to let the initial blast of heat not not cook my face off. So here we go. We put this in. The movement is just pull it back on the. This is a pizza peel. We pull it back. You can see what's happening by putting the light on. You can start to see that working away. And always on this, set a timer for about 4 minutes. I have thought, oh, it's okay, it's just 4 minutes, and then got stuck in doing something else and come back about 35 minutes later, and you end up with this sort of black frisbee disc inside the oven that isn't much good for frisbee, I suppose it is. So we'll be back here in a few moments, and then I'll show you the options of what you can do to get the parchment paper from underneath the pizza, and if you don't feel comfortable, you know, what steps to take. So back shortly. Okay, so we're back now, and 4 minutes later, the kitchen starts to smell divine at this point. So I'm going to open the oven door here. Now, you can either use the pizza peel or you can just use a spatula, whatever works for you for this next step. So we're going to open the door. Be careful of the blast of heat that comes out, because it will. And then what I do is lift up the parchment paper, slide underneath, and then close. Okay. What that does is it allows the pizza to be placed directly on the baking stone, or the baking steel in this case. The other way to do what we've just done with the baking parchment is to put on the peel some some cornmeal, which is what we would traditionally use. But if you put cornmeal on there, you can get the pizza into the oven. The one thing I've found though is if you miss a little bit of cornmeal or something when you're dusting the peel, you can end up with stuck pizza dough, and you end up with quite an experiment to try and get it into the oven. So I have found that putting the prepared pizza on top of the parchment paper, we're full of alliteration today. We put the prepared pizza on the parchment paper, and then that slides off the peel that much more easily. We're going to see here, we're going to come back in about 4 minutes again, 4-ish minutes, and see what we think of the pizza then, whether it's cooked. And the bottom of the pizza will start to crisp up nicely now as a result of cooking both underneath from the pizza steel that we have in there, but also from the heat itself inside the oven. So we'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you. Okay, so while that pizza's been cooking, what we're doing is that we're preparing another dough. You can be doing this all in the same room. It's just that my recording area for my shows is outside the kitchen, and it's in a different preparation area. So what we're going to do is take more tomato sauce and make a classic pizza here. New York style pizza. I love pizza in New York, Brooklyn, Coney Island, absolutely fantastic. Baked very often in coal-fired pizza ovens that get up to about 850, 900 degrees. You get really good pizza in about 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. So we're putting some oregano on here. Oregano is a nice herb to use. And then we are going to put some shredded cheese from the recipe I provided earlier. Now, we're not trying to make a cheese toasted sandwich that we then serve with, tomato soup or something like that. We don't want to load so much cheese on these pizzas. Traditionally, that's not how it's done. If you like a bunch of cheese, go for it. But in this, we don't need that much. So that's about where we want to be with the pizza. And then we're going to put this in the oven as we're switching the other one out. One tip is not to be too far ahead of yourself with the baking of the pizza. The margherita pizza that I'm just about to bring out of the oven itself is very close to completion, so I can prepare this now. But if you've just put an oven in there, until you get the feel of this sort of workflow here, I recommend that you don't put the tomato sauce on the base too quickly, otherwise you have to increase the cooking time. I can show you some tips there as well, but right, we're going to take this through to the kitchen now, and we'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so that's 4 minutes. Let's have a look what's happening to the pizza in there, and then we can be ready to put the next pizza in. Okay, so let's open the door and see. Oh, looking really good. That is good. Bottom is cooked, everything's ready. Take that out. And then what I like to do here is to put the pizza on a rack. And the reason for that is if I just put the pizza on a flat surface, what will happen is that the heat underneath the pizza will tend to create condensation and you'll end up with a soggy base. So if we just use a cake rack here, then we can have some good confidence that that pizza will be cooling down a little bit, setting, without any fear of condensation. Now, we put the next pizza in. This is the New York style cheese and tomato. Now, the temperature on the oven, we preheated it to 500 earlier. It's currently at 465. What you can do if you want is put it back to 500. Let it preheat again. Or, if you're fairly confident that you've got a pretty fast heating oven, or it retains its heat quite well, you can then put this one in. Obviously, in a home kitchen, we're not using a professional pizza oven or a wood-fired pizza oven. One of the great things about a wood-fired pizza oven is that when you get the oven temperature to about the right temperature, it doesn't tend to lose or bleed heat out particularly easily. Whereas most domestic ovens, your oven at home, will not tend to have that same fantastic level of heat retention. But one of the other good things about using the pizza steel that we have in here is that the steel itself retains a lot of heat and radiates that heat out. And even if the air temperature on your oven is not perfectly up to scratch, supposing you've got a football game or something, and you've got a bunch of people that are like, where's my pizza, where's my pizza? You can still get pizza production line, as it were, going pretty well by using a pizza steel, and that will cook the pizza well from underneath while the air in the oven is coming back up to temperature. So we're going to pop our pizza in here, and again, 4 minutes on the timer, and then we'll be back to check on that while we're making another pizza. So we've got a whole production line going on here, and back with you shortly. Thank you. Okay, so that's the sound of pizza. Let's have a look how we're doing. Looking good. Now what you can do on this one, the top started to caramelize quite quickly, so what you can simply do is this: take the pizza paper, put it over the top of the pizza, and then put it back in for the let's do 3 minutes. What that does is it stops the top of the pizza, the cheese on the top of the pizza, caramelize and cook and even blacken before the bottom is cooked. So that's a technique you can use. You simply switch out the parchment paper on the underside of the pizza, flip it over, then you won't get any black bits off the cooking steel, and then flip it back on top of the pizza for the remaining cooking time of that pizza. This pizza is ready to eat, but we're going to still make another couple of pizzas and wait before devouring our slice of pizza. So back with you shortly. Okay, so we're just coming up to the cooking time here. We're going to see how the pizza looks, and if it's ready, we'll take it out. Lift up the parchment paper with your spatula, and the bottom is looking good. So just another few seconds here on the pizza stone, just to crisp up that bottom even more. There are so many different ways to cook pizzas and methods of cooking pizzas. I've even done pizzas while I'm camping, and I'll do that in another Comfort Dad Cooks episode. Breakfast pizza, where I took the dough with me and then put that in the icebox and then use that to make flatbreads and breakfast pizzas. Absolutely simple to do. I'll show you how to do it. So we can take out this pizza and plonk it down there. So we've now got the margherita pizza with the fresh mozzarella, and we've also got the classic New York style pizza ready. So now we're going to take the peel back to my prep area, and we're going to make roasted garlic and potato pizza. So come and join me. Okay, so we've made 2 pizzas now. We're going to make a third one, and on this one we're going to add a tomato sauce. You don't have to add tomato sauce. You can add stuff to your pizza You can use a white sauce. You can do it like a flatbread with olive oil. Just brush the olive oil on it. So many thousands of combinations to do with pizza. So what we're going to do on this one is a combination of the purple potato, which I prepared earlier, and then just break up the pieces of potato. The way that the sugars caramelize inside of a pizza from potato is absolutely wonderful. And then the pieces of potato that stick up above the parapet of the cheese are going to get slightly more caramelized, and those are the nice crunchy bits that are delicious to snack on. So a bit of pizza with potato. Then we're going to take some roasted garlic. Now you can just add chunks of garlic if you want to, or you can break it up and just add those little bits of garlic here and there. I prefer roasted garlic to fresh garlic for this particular purpose because you don't get a sudden bite of garlic. Nice to add chilies to pizzas if you want that. You want a bit of a punch with your pizza. But I like roasted garlic, so we add the garlic in there, and then after that we're going to add some soppressata, a type of cured meat. You can make pizza with absolutely anything. Just pay honor to the ingredients and to where they came from, and you're away. Experiment. And then in addition to that, we're going to put some black olives on there. Okay. Pizza's such a versatile food to make as well. So many variations and iterations of it. And I know that the trend in the last few years has been away from gluten and to eschew all things gluten. But there's some very interesting information about heritage flours and the way that heritage flours are produced compared to modern methods of production that have genetically modified the wheat, and so the heritage flours, we believe, make it easier for the human to digest them. So on this we're going to put my mozzarella, cheddar, fontina, parmesan mix, and then it'll be ready for the oven. You can put anything you want on this. Right, we're going to take this through to the oven here, and we'll see you in a moment. Now, I shared a technique with you a few moments ago that I use to cover the top of a pizza with parchment paper if you have a lot of sauce on, and it also applies if you have a lot of toppings. So on this pizza, we have a number of toppings, and we want to make sure that the toppings cook, but not before the bottom is cooked, otherwise you'll end up with a sort of chewy, doughy base. So we're going to take another piece of parchment paper and put that over the top of the pizza, and then put that pizza into the oven. And we're going to set the timer for 4 minutes as we had done before. But what this will do is it will allow the base of the pizza to cook before the top ingredients are fully cooked. So that's one technique you can use if you like a lot of toppings on your pizza. So we'll be back in a few moments. Okay, so we've just 20 seconds or so before the next pizza is ready, and what I want to do at this point is just put a little bit of olive oil on top of the existing margherita pizza and the New York style pizza. That just adds a nice glaze to the top of the pizza. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take the bottom piece of parchment paper and the top piece of parchment paper off, and what that will do is it will allow that pizza to continue cooking, but the bottom has already received quite a bit of heat from the pizza steel, and we won't be burning those toppings on the top. So we had another 4 minutes here, and we'll be back shortly while we go and prepare the next pizza. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take a dough ball and stretch it into a flatbread. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's so many similarities in so many different cultures for pizza, flatbread, paratha, chapati, naan bread, tacos. All different cultures have the concept of flatbread. So we're going to do this as a flatbread. We're going to put some tomato sauce on. Same size dough ball, just a different treatment, okay? This is a delicious way to do it. So then for this one, we're going to take some mushrooms. This one is really nice with shawarma meat, chicken or something like that. Very nice. You can add plenty of oregano. Lamb is very good as well with this. Limited only by your imagination. Clearly my imagination is run wild with this one. Okay, so we are going to take some jalapenos that I pickled. Add a little bit of jalapeno on there. To your liking. And then we've got that. Now the one thing that we're going to do here is to add a special ingredient. As if homemade jalapenos pickled is not special enough. This is feta cheese, which I've marinated for about 3 weeks in olive oil. And we're going to put some pieces of that onto this pizza as well. Pizza, flatbread, call it what you wish. The oil from this marinade is absolutely delicious, used as a salad dressing when all the feta has gone, which won't take long, especially in my household. And then, so we add the feta on there. Now, if this was a different shape, you'd call it a pizza. It's just a flatbread. And what we're going to do here is add a little bit of fresh oregano on top. And then we're going to add some more of this cheese mixture on top. And then we're going to hop through to the kitchen and put this in. Okay, with you in a few moments. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to take this pizza out. This is delicious, nicely caramelized. And then put the next flatbread pizza in. Because that is a wider or longer than it's not circular. We're going to put this in for 4 minutes here. Get the temperature right. Who knew that making pizza would be like programming a computer? So we've got 3 pizzas ready, and we're going to come back shortly here for the last remaining pizza. Thank you. Good, so let's check how our flatbread pizza is doing. Perfect. That works. And then that is the 4th pizza. Sounds like a crime thriller, the 4th pizza. So we're going to take this into our preparation area, and then we're going to serve it up, and I'll show you different ways that I like to just finish off the pizza and dress the pizza. So we'll be back there just in a couple of moments. Okay, so we're back. So we've got lots of pizza here if anyone would like any. We're going to start by taking out the margherita pizza and then slicing that. Pizza's delicious, hot, cold, same day, next day for breakfast. Take a slice out of each one and serve that up. So let's try the New York style cheese and tomato. I love the pizzerias in Brooklyn and Coney Island that have a sign on the door that says whole pies only, no slices. So we're going to get the roasted garlic, salami pizza with roasted potatoes on there, olives, absolutely delicious. And then what we have here is the flatbread pizza, which we can just slice a piece across like this. That's still quite hot. So we have got 4 different styles of pizza, all from the same batch of dough, and we can just finish the pizza here with a little bit of basil on top, or basil if you live in England, or basil if you watch Fawlty Towers. Absolutely delicious. I never know which one to start with, but I'm going to start with the old classic margherita pizza. Absolutely delicious. You can see the texture of the dough. This is absolutely really good pizza. I encourage you to learn how to make pizza. I'll be enjoying these in just a moment. Pizza is so simple to make. You can make it in classic ways, like the margherita pizza, the New York style cheese and tomato. We tried one here with roasted garlic and purple potato, which is absolutely delicious, one of my favorites. And also making flatbreads is one particular way that you can extend your range of pizza versatility. So that's pizza and how I make it. Many different styles. Please leave in the comments below how you did with pizza, any problems you may have had. I'll be happy to help that for you. And tell me what toppings you've used. And thank you so much for joining me today on Comfort Dad Cooks.